I know that members of this committee frequently frame these complicated issues in the form of a simple question: was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
So that's how the morning began. The answer is yes, said Gordon Sondland. There was a quid pro quo. And not only that, he explained, pretty much everybody knew about it.
Everyone was in the loop. It was no secret. Everyone was informed via email on July 19th, days before the presidential call.
Holy smokes. For a moment there, it looked like case closed. The final ignominious end of the Trump presidency, the one that our perpetually excitable friends in the news media have been confidently predicting day after rage-filled day for more than 3 years now. The last meltdown. The great orange Hindenburg finally bursts into flame. In TV studios across Midtown Manhattan, cable news contributors struggled to hold back tears of joy. And then Adam Schiff took the microphone. Schiff, as the ringmaster of this particular circus, was determined to bring it to its final theatrical close. Tell us, Adam Schiff said, about President Trump's deal with Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden in return for foreign aid. It was the moment Democrats have been waiting for. But when it finally arrived, Gordon Sondland wouldn't read from the script.
Although President Trump claimed to you there was no quid pro quo, he also made it clear to you in that call that President Zelensky had to, quote, clear things up and do it in public. You don't have a reason to dispute. That's what
I don't have any reason to dispute the clear things up and do it in public. What I'm trying to be very clear about was President Trump never told me directly that the aid was tied to that statement.
But in that same conversation you had with him about the aid, about the quid pro quo, he told you that President Zelensky had to, quote, clear things up and do it in public, correct?
I did not have a conversation with him about the aid. I had a conversation with him, as referenced in my text, about quid pro quo.
Well, the quid pro quo you were discussing was over the aid, correct?
No. President Trump, when I asked him the open-ended question, as I testified previously, what do you want from Ukraine? His answer was, I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky to do the right thing. That's all I got from President Trump.
You said to the President of the United States, what do you want from Ukraine? The President, I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. I want Zelensky to do the right thing. I want him to do what he ran on. Why didn't you put that statement in your opening statement? I think you said you couldn't fit it in. Is that right? So we might be here for 46 minutes instead of 45 minutes.
It wasn't purposeful, trust me.
Wasn't purposeful?
No.
Couldn't fit it in a 23-page opener.
As Sondland conceded in an exchange with Congressman Michael Turner, his assessment of any deals Trump may have struck with Ukraine was based mostly on assumptions.
No one on this planet told you that President Trump was tying aid to investigations, yes or no?
Yes.
So, you really have no testimony today that ties President Trump to a scheme to withhold aid from Ukraine in exchange for these investigations?
Other than my own presumption.
Which is nothing.
The statement that the president gave to Ambassador Sonland when Ambassador Sonland asked him what's he want from Ukraine, the president was as clear as he could be. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. I want Zelensky to do what he campaigned on. I want him to do what he ran on. As clear as could be, direct evidence from the central figure of this whole inquiry, the President of the United States, stating it as plainly and clearly as he possibly could. Second, I do think it's important to understand there were only 14 days that the Ukrainians knew that the aid was held up. They learned on August 29th from the Politico article, and in that 14-day time frame, from the 29th of August to the 11th of September, there are 3 key interactions with senior government officials and the President of Ukraine, President Zelensky. The most important, in my judgment, was the last one, because that's a bipartisan meeting from people from the legislative branch, from U.S. Senators Murphy and Johnson. If ever there was a time where Zelensky would have brought up the idea that aid was somehow linked to him announcing an investigation, that would have been the time, because Senator Murphy brought it up himself. And still, President Zelensky never said in any way that there was aid, that an investigation were linked together. Those, in my mind, are the key takeaways. Everything else is Ambassador Sondland surmising what someone's thinking, what someone's up to, all the other things that the Democrats try to stir up. But the facts, as we've said several times, have always been on the president's side, They have not changed. We got the transcript where there is no linkage whatsoever. We got the two guys on the call, President Trump and President Zelensky, who have said there was no pressure, no pushing, no linkage. We got the fact that the Ukrainians didn't know the aid was frozen at the time of the call. And most importantly, as was pointed out today by so many people, including Representative Stefanik, that the Ukrainians took no action, no announcement to get the call, no announcement to get the meeting in New York, no announcement to get the aid released. Those are the facts. Representative Stefanik.
As every day goes by, Adam Schiff and the Democrats' wishful thinking for impeachment crumbles. They have yet to point to a single shred of evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors of bribery. Today, taking the witness's own testimony, Ambassador Sonland testified that the president said directly to him, there is no quid pro quo. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want President Zelensky to do what he ran on, which is very clearly anti-corruption, but the facts remain the same. Ukraine received the aid. There was no investigation before the meeting. There was no investigation before the aid released. There was no investigation before the call or after the call. So the facts remain the same throughout this process, despite Adam Schiff continuing his political wishful thinking.
We're back right where we were when the Ukraine circus started. In fact, we're back where we were on November 9th, 2016. Yes, a lot of people in Washington despise Donald Trump. But still, to this moment, nobody can prove a crime. Don't tell the press, though. They're celebrating as if someone did.
Now we know that every fantasy about how corrupt this administration was is actually true.
Our live coverage of the blowtorch testimony this morning from Gordon Sonland. Turns out to be the guy who has offered the most stunning testimony.
In addition to that and the bombshells we've heard about, this was an IED from Mr. Sonland.
The radical Democrats' policies are crazy, their politicians are corrupt, their candidates are terrible, and they know they can't win on election day, so they're pursuing an illegal, invalid, and unconstitutional bullshit impeachment.